So you want to learn about silver stacking. Maybe you collected coins when you were younger. Maybe you heard about this movement that is gaining momentum from a friend. However you got here, thanks for watching. In this video, I will attempt to clearly explain the 5 W's of silver stacking. The what, where, when, who, and why of silver stacking. Stay tuned. T. Hello, silver fans. This is T, and you're in the place to be for silver education, acquisition, and entertainment. Hey, shout out to my viewer, Gary from Texas, who suggested I create this video. As this video plays, you'll see thumbnails pop up. These are previous videos that I've made, and after this video, I suggest you take a look at them because they talk a little bit more in detail about some of the subjects that we're going to discuss today. They can be found down below in the description of this video. I hope you like this video, and if you do, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. So what is silver stacking? Simply put, it is the accumulation of silver. Good old AG. When it comes to the what of silver stacking, that depends on your philosophy. There's a wide range of silver stackers, and they have a whole spectrum of silver stacking philosophy. As a matter of fact, I call this T the Silver Stacker's Silver Stacking Spectrum. So let me explain a little bit before we get into stacking the difference between a stacker and a collector. Okay, I got that beautiful silver out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about this spectrum that I mentioned. Okay, you've got one end of the spectrum here, and it goes all the way over here. On this end of the spectrum, I'm going to put stacker. Pure stacker. Now this is an extreme. Then I'm going to have on this end of the spectrum, pure collector. And you might be wondering, well, I tuned into a video on stacking. Why are you talking about collectors? You'll see in just a moment. Because there is a whole wide world of silver to look at, to consider purchasing, and to accumulate. So let's talk about 2 of the extremes. The stacker. Let's start with the pure stacker. The pure stacker wants to find silver to purchase and accumulate and hoard and add to his safe in the cheapest and most efficient manner possible. This end of the spectrum here is not so concerned about collectability. So what would a pure stacker choose? Well, let's talk about this. I'll get to this in more detail later. But this here is junk silver, aka constitutional silver. This would be on one end of the spectrum. Another item on this end of the spectrum would be this here. These are silver rounds. And so I'll open this up for you. And these are basically generic silver. They're not collected for their collector value. They are collected simply because they are 999 pure silver, and they don't have a whole lot of collector value. So these 1 ounce silver rounds, the reason they're called rounds is because they are not government issued and minted and distributed. These are minted and distributed by private companies who put them out for people like me who want to collect silver and add them to their stack. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have your pure collector and people who collect things like, oh, this is an extreme. This happens to be a coin that I add to my collection. It is a 1998 Mexican Libertad coin. and I paid over $300 for this particular coin. 1 ounce of silver I paid over $300 for. Reason being, it's a 1998, and a very small number of these were minted, and I am attempting to collect a Mexican Libertad from every year that they were issued, from 1982 to 2020, which I've successfully collected almost all of them. But anyway, this is an extreme that goes right here. Now, in between, you have a variety of other types of silver. Take these maples, for example. These would be considered further along this end of the spectrum, where there is a small premium on them because they're not American bullion, but not very much at all because they just came from Canada. Here's another, the old kookaburra from Australia, and that would be on this end of the spectrum. Definitely paid a little bit more for this than just the pure silver value, but it was interesting and I kind of picked it up on a whim. The Mexican Libertad, the Mexican bullion coin, that would, depending on the year you're talking about, maybe be in this range somewhere. It's stacked for its bullion value, but as I mentioned previously, some of them could be very collectible because of their rarity and hence the high premium. And here's another one. I bought this maybe on experiencing a little bit of FOMO. I didn't want to miss out on this opportunity during this historic time of last year to purchase a First Strike American Silver Eagle Philadelphia emergency issue. And so that would be more on the collector side. This particular coin was $55 as opposed to the value of the silver at the time. Spot price was approximately $25. So, hey, I paid double just to get this slabbed coin. It is a graded coin that I can put away. Who knows if it will go up in value or not. Now, you've heard me talk about premium. Let me move these out of the way. As you go from this end of the spectrum to this end of the spectrum, the premium goes up. What does that mean? What is the premium? Premium is basically the price on top of the silver content that you pay for your silver coin or bullion. So a pure stacker wants the lowest premium possible. He just wants the silver. Doesn't care many times about looks or collectability or anything else like that. Just give me that silver at the lowest price you can give it to me. On this end, people are willing to pay a lot more money for the collectability and the beauty and the rarity of the silver. And I don't want you to think that just because you paid a higher premium doesn't mean there's not value there. There certainly is value. And this coin right here, the Mexican Libertad that I mentioned, is probably worth just as much as I paid for it, maybe even a little bit more. It seems like they've ramped up in popularity over the last 2 months or so, surrounding the hype regarding the 2020 Mexican Libertad. It seems like the whole world discovered Libertads all at once, and they've become more valuable. So it all depends on where you want to sink your money, but most stackers would consider themselves on this end of the spectrum. Most of us collect for the silver bullion content, but very few of us don't also at the same time have a little soft spot in our heart for different collectible coins that they like. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense, and as your silver stacking journey continues, a lot of this will make more and more sense as you go along. Okay, let's get this chart out of the way. Okay, now that you have a good idea of the whole spectrum of the silver world and what there is out there at your fingertips, just a click away on your computer to purchase, I'd like to give you my suggestion as a beginner on what to consider purchasing first. My first is a no-brainer, and that, of course, if you're a resident of the United States, my recommendation is to start with our own silver bullion coin, the American Silver Eagle. And these are my first recommendation for many reasons. Number one, if you are looking for them, they are easy to obtain. The premium these days is a little bit out of whack, but in normal circumstances isn't that ridiculously high. And of course, they are backed by the United States of America. So these are churned out from the U.S. Mint at a clip of tens of millions per year. And so this would be my number one recommendation for ounces of silver to start building your stack, building the base of your stack. You can deviate later if you'd like to other things, but my friends, I would suggest you strongly consider the American Silver Eagle right here. Next, I would suggest constitutional silver, aka junk silver. That's this stuff right here. 50-cent pieces, quarters, and of course, dimes. Oops. All minted prior to 1965. They contain 90% silver. And just a little fun fact about these is that if you look at the face value of these coins here, so here we have, let's see, 50 cents, 75, $1, 10, 20, 30, 40, $1.40 in junk silver adds up to 1 troy ounce of silver. So that's a little fun fact as your silver stacking journey continues. The more you get educated, the better off you'll be. My third recommendation is silver rounds. And some people don't care for these because of the fact that they are not backed by a government. There's no guarantee of the purity. There's fakes made and things like that. So you might want to wait a little while before you get into rounds or start adding too many rounds to your stack and accumulating those. Other good options would be the bullion coins of various nations. Here you have the silver maple from Canada. Oof, nobody likes that side. And then my personal favorite, the Mexican Libertad. And as you could see, it is very, very beautiful. It's a gorgeous coin. It is minted by the Mexican Mint. And these are known the world over for their beauty, collectability, and high quality minting on the Mexican Libertad. These do carry a higher premium than the American Silver Eagles, but on the flip side is you can certainly get that money back when you go to sell. But I can't state strongly enough that the American Silver Eagle for anyone would be a great place to start as you're accumulating your silver stack. Oh, and as we were talking about constitutional silver earlier, you may also want to consider the Morgan dollar, seen here, or the peace dollar, seen here. These also can be found somewhere on the spectrum of stacking versus collecting. On one end, those Morgans and peace dollars that are a little bit more beat up, rough around the edges, are perfectly suitable for stacking. But I will warn you that as their condition is greater, so is the price exponentially. And I have a feeling that both of these coins are going to be extremely popular for collecting in 2021, considering there are going to be new Morgans and peace dollars minted by the U.S. Mint this year. Many of us are anxiously awaiting them, and we feel that as they are minted and reissued, the popularity of these is going to rise. These old ones here that you see me holding in my hand. Where do you acquire this silver that I have in front of you? The first place and most convenient is online bullion dealers. And there are quite a few of them out there for you to choose from. I'll throw out the names of a couple of them just for you to consider, but I would definitely encourage you to shop around. APMEX, APMEX, is the biggest. It's kind of a one-stop shop because they have the biggest variety of silver and gold bullion coins and other coins and rounds and bars for you to choose from. The downside is, before you go running straight to APMEX, that they are kind of pricey. But they are very professional, but I certainly encourage you to shop around. SD Bullion is another one, and especially for beginner stackers, it's a good consideration. Other places would be potentially Facebook. There are lots of different auctions that you can find on Facebook. eBay, I have kind of mixed emotions about. I've always had a high opinion of eBay and had good luck until just recently. And so a couple of experiences I've had lately with eBay purchases have left a bad taste in my mouth. So buyer beware when it comes to eBay. And then last but not least, this is the best place to find this stuff, and that is local coin shops. If you're watching these videos, you may hear LCS thrown around, and that term means local coin shops. I certainly encourage you to check out your local coin shop wherever you live. Many times they're run by old-timers who just have a wealth of knowledge to share, and if you're a beginner, don't be afraid to ask questions at your LCS. Usually, the owners of the shop can spot a newbie walking in the door, and it's been my experience that most of them are willing to talk and chat and help educate their buyers because they want return business, and they will oftentimes give you a good deal because they'd like to see you come back in the door someday. Okay, how about when? When should you start collecting silver coins and rounds and building your stack? I say today, if you can. And that speaks to the beauty of the local coin shop. You could click off this video when you're done watching it and hop in your car and be at a local coin shop and come home with your first American Silver Eagle, probably, depending on where you live, in a very short period of time. But when it comes to making purchases over a period of time, I also encourage you to be consistent. My motto when it comes to silver stacking is slow and steady wins the race. Some people have different philosophies on this, but I think consistently over time, if you don't stretch your budget and you don't overdo it, this stuff will start to add up and add up and add up, and before you know it, you'll take a good look at your stack and surprise yourself as to what you've accumulated over time. So what I'm saying is, if you do go to that LCS today, don't go blow your paycheck over there. Just start small and build and build and build, and I think that will help you in the long run. Now, as you're stacking over time, you can look and see that there are plenty of charts to look at, and you could see that when it comes to the price of silver, the spot price, which is basically an internationally recognized number that is used to determine the price of silver around the world, you'll notice that the spot price goes up and down, and over time there are peaks and valleys when it comes to the spot price over a period of time. Now, it would be real easy for me to say, well, hey, just buy on the dips, and when it goes down, buy more. But the problem with that is that nobody knows how low the dips will go, and nobody knows how high the spikes will go. And so your best bet is don't try to time the market, because nobody has a crystal ball. I encourage you to just buy consistently over time. Maybe buy a little bit more when the price is low, and maybe slow down and put cash away when the price is high for when those times come that you can buy on the dip. But don't try to time it perfectly, because that's never going to happen. Now, as you're plugging away, just remember, if you're adding this stuff to your stack and putting it away, you're probably ahead of about 98% of the world. So keep on stacking. As you get more and more into stacking, I would encourage you to not to try to keep up with some of the big YouTubers that you might be seeing. Odds are they've been at it a lot longer than you have, and sometimes seeing their stacks, which are quite big and impressive, can be discouraging. I say keep plugging away and your stack will add up. Now, who stacks? Who adds precious metals to their portfolio? Well, I'll start with the rich. The rich have long believed in precious metals, mainly gold, because it is a store of their wealth. And you ask any millionaire you know, I would be willing to bet that they have a chunk of their portfolio dedicated to physical precious metals that they can see and touch. But this video here isn't for the rich. This video and my entire stacking channel is for the common man. And the common man accumulates silver, sometimes referred to as poor man's gold, which I really don't like that term, to freeze their buying power in time. So why stack silver? It's quite simply put, it is wealth preservation. This stuff that you put away in your safe at home, it's like locking your wealth in a time capsule. And the buying power that can be had when you purchase it will be the same or maybe even better 5 or 10 years down the road from now. Whether you sell this stuff or you hold on to it or pass it down to the next generation, the buying power stays safely contained in the physical precious metals that you have in front of you. Now, another reason is that it's kind of fun, actually. This is the funnest savings account that you'll ever have, in my personal opinion. I love to collect this stuff and add it to my wealth. I love to learn about it, read about it, watch YouTube videos galore, and it makes me very comfortable to sleep at night knowing that my family and I have some store of wealth at our disposal, no matter what happens in the world. Whatever happens to the US dollar or fiat currency, we have this stuff to depend on. Another reason that I stack personally, my story is that it provides saving discipline for me, saving power. I'm one of those type of people that I could fill an envelope with cash and something always comes up. I need this, I want that, my kids need this, they want that, and that cash comes and goes. But this stuff, I do my best, and there may be some day, a rainy day, where I have to cash this in, and I hope that day never comes on a necessity. But holding on to this in a disciplined way, because believe me, I don't want to get rid of any of this. Holding on to this allows me a form of discipline that I didn't previously have. So if for anything else, it'll encourage you to hold on to your wealth. Now, why stack silver specifically, not gold, not other precious metals, not put your money into other items? Most of us who are stackers do have retirement accounts and mutual funds and things like that to put our wealth in. But this, for me, is an add-on to my security. It's affordable, and in my opinion, it is undervalued. I think in the long term, the price of silver, the spot price, and the wealth preserved in this silver will continue to rise, 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 and rise over the years and decades. One thing to note is not only the beauty and the fact that silver has been a store of wealth for literally thousands of years, more and more and more it has been coveted for its industrial uses. All the technology, whether it's green industries, where this is going to be used in solar panels or other hardware uses, most of us who have been following silver feel that the industrial uses of silver will simply continue to rise and rise and rise over time. So I've given you a whole lot to think about. Do you have questions? If you're a beginning silver stacker, you may have questions. Please take a moment to go down to the comment section. If you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. My encouragement to you is to get into the game. Start adding silver to your portfolio as soon as you're able. So thanks for watching. And now, based on my own personal silver stacking philosophies, may your premiums be low and your stacks be high. T.